Hey there, hi there, welcome to another edition of a life, stories that you can be thankful that it's not your life. On this episode, we are going to cover a couple of hospital admissions, and we have to keep in mind that I'm looking back. So Monday morning quarterback, reviewing things with more of a well mind. I do have voice journal recordings for the journalist, and I did do some recordings for the podcast that was to be. So I did make notes, so I'll probably look down at the notes for a couple of reminders here and there. But starting it off, first swing. I was admitted for the first time. Didn't even know that I had COVID. I was at work. It was my last shift. I used to do 3 shifts in a row, typical night shift schedule. Bundle them all together and then you have a bunch of days off. So this night in particular, I was exhausted. Doesn't cover it. It felt like I was walking in quicksand with cement shoes on, and just, oh God, awful. And I went to talk to the doc that was on duty. I'd known him for a very long time. The hospital I was working at, I'd worked there previously and then went back in 2019. And I had known this doctor before. And so we were talking about books or something. And at one point I just kind of kicked my head back and I said, oh my God, I feel horrible. And he flat out said, you have COVID. And I said, no, I don't. How can I have COVID? He said, you have COVID. How can you not know you have COVID? And I said, I don't have any of the symptoms. He said, trust me, you don't need a test. You have COVID. So I knew none of the patients came in with the typical symptoms that during the press conferences. If you have the following symptoms, if you have the following symptoms, you have COVID. Well, yes, while some of those proved to be true, it was not all the time. We saw an array of people, and I was proof positive of not fitting in that box. And when I look back, I could kick myself a little bit for not paying better attention, because I knew that it was all, God, political and don't get me started. So, I went home, and at the time, I was self-quarantining in a sense. So if I was asymptomatic, I would come in through my garage, put my scrubs immediately in the washing machine with Clorox sanitizing bleach stuff, get in the shower and take a full-on Silkwood shower and crash. And the first day of my, after working a few shifts, is the most tired. It's rough. So you sleep for a few hours so you can flip back to days, and then you get up and try to start pushing yourself to do things so you don't sleep through the whole day and wake up and it's night. Refreshing. So, I fell asleep and it's a haze the next section of my life. I don't know if I sent my son to his dad's or it was his dad's weekend. I can't remember. He wasn't at the house. So if he wasn't here, my mom had an apartment at the time and she would go to her apartment. So I just slept the entire weekend. Meaning, I didn't wake up. I slept the entire weekend and woke up on Monday. I think my first shift back was supposed to be that Wednesday. So I woke up Sunday and I said to myself, yes, I didn't feel right and I knew something was wrong. So I told my mom, I said, but it doesn't feel like COVID. I don't know what it is. So didn't have any symptoms that were on the CDC list. I was just dog tired, lethargic, holy moly. I couldn't sleep enough and no appetite and just, oh God, felt horrible. Little flu-like. So, I called my mom Monday, and so got home Friday morning, and this was, I don't know if I got home Friday or Saturday morning, but this was Monday evening, and I called my mom and I said, okay, I'm gonna go up to the ER that I was working at, but I'm going to wait until shift change. So come here at 6:30, and then traffic will have slowed down, and I had all this worked out. Well, of course, being a mother, she shows up in 2 seconds and says, "We're going now." And I wanted to take a shower, and I said, "I told you to come at 6:30. And she said, "If you have to go to the ER, we're not waiting for shift change." I remember that exchange, but going forward, things are hazy. It's the best I can describe how I was in a fog. And I had the shower on, and the shower was on. I was sitting on a stool because I was so tired. I had to sit down before taking a shower. I had to take a minute. And she came in, and I said I need to take a shower, but I didn't think I had the energy to do it. So she said, "Just get dressed, we're gonna go." This is where things kind of go off the rails, and I go from hazy to on the verge of tunded. And I put on a bathing suit cover up, and I have a few of those, very comfortable. They look like nightgowns. They look like Mrs. Roper nightgown caftans. And for some reason in my head, I thought it was the longer one and it was appropriate. It was the short one, and completely inappropriate. So it barely covered my rear end. So I get to the ER, they know I'm coming. I get there in the midst of shift change. So day shift kind of gets me, and night shift takes over. The doctor, though, the bonus of it, the doctor that took care, that I spoke with on my last shift that said I had COVID, was working that night. So he was already prepared for what the treatment plan was going to be. And we got to the ER. One of my coworkers came out and got a wheelchair. I know at one point I looked down and I realized the rear end was hanging out, and I told, don't remember who it was, "Oh my God, I need a blanket." And they said, "Don't worry, we'll put you in a gown when we get in the room." So the doc came in and we checked my vital signs, and everything kind of instantly went to shit. I was already in sepsis. And for my medical people, I should have pulled my numbers to tell you how sick I was, but I was sick to the point that the docs were scared. And I heard during admissions, I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure what we're gonna do. I heard that quite a few times, and it is not a comforting feeling when you're the aberration. So you're the anomaly that docs throw their hands up. So instantly fluids, and I told him no intubation. We're not intubating. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, at the time, let me back this up. At the time, when COVID patients were being intubated, you exposed everyone in the room. And if I got someone sick, that really would have killed me. And that was number one. And number two, what we were seeing was that people that were tubed did not come off the ventilator. So it was two part of why I didn't want to be intubated. My oxygen saturations were good. The way the admissions work, so I worked at the new hospital that's being built. So it's a smaller ER. If I was to be admitted, I had to be brought to the big hospital, old hospital, and you're taken by ambulance, and there was a unit that they called PUI at the time, and it was the patients under investigation. We had to wait longer to get the results back. And so if the docs thought it was COVID, they put you on this unit until you got the results, because it didn't come back right away. So I was a PUI patient, so they were waiting on a bed. My mom was with me. She stayed around midnight. My blood pressure started dropping, and I was on a lot of antibiotics, and I had the source, so I was in sepsis. You have to figure out the source of the infection. Sepsis is an infection that wreaks havoc on the body and can cause multi-organ failure and can kill you if not treated swiftly. So you find the source and you treat it. So the source of mine was urosepsis, urine. I was fortunate that we found it right away. So they knew we could do good antibiotics. But around midnight, I started tanking, as we say in the biz. My blood pressure started to go down. That can happen with antibiotics, though. The doctor was convinced it was because of the nausea medicine. And I need to throw this in there because I kept saying nausea was one of my first symptoms. This is when the nausea showed up, was when I was in the ER midnight. I was so nauseous. I wanted to just, oh my, it was the worst. And I had taken Phenergan my entire pregnancy. I had taken it before many times. Never had a problem with it, but with COVID, everything, just throw it out the window. Everything's different. So, he was unhappy that he didn't want to give it, but and I told him, I said, I'm telling you, that's not it. It's something else. It's something else. So we watched my blood pressure, and I'd worked. Nurses can get alarm fatigue. You hear the alarms go off, and you just can tune them out, and that's not good. I had been away from the bedside for a short period of time that you have to learn the new alarms, so I knew what was alarming, if it was blood pressure, if it was oxygen, heart rate, that kind of thing. So my heart rate was fast, so I knew that, and I could hear the that's the sound of the heart rate, that buzz. And then the blood pressure. I can imitate every alarm, but the blood pressure started going, and I was awake. I had kind of drifted off to sleep for 5 minutes and then heard the alarms and woke up. My mom was at the doorway behind a curtain reading a book. They pulled the curtain to make the room a little dark so that I could sleep, and the doc walked in and looked at the blood pressure, and I suggested a medication to give me, and I said, I think, one dose will be good. So you can imagine doctors that don't know me, and I'm telling you, try this will work. And I mean, it's like going to a chef and saying, add a little paprika, and I think then it'll be, So, but they trusted me, and it worked for my blood pressure. And then at 2 was when I heard the telltale oxygen saturation. And I kept staring at it, and it was 92. I was on oxygen, just the nasal cannula, and then it was 91, 90, 89, the doc comes in, and I looked up at him and shook my head no. We can have complete conversations with our eyes and head or hand gestures. And I didn't want my mom to know anything was wrong. So we did medical charades and shake my head no. This is the charade sign for, a mask. And mask, crank it up. So the nurse was in, we put the mask on, cranked it up. And the funny thing is, my coworkers thought I was drunk. That tells you a little bit about my behavior. I was working with new people who didn't know me before. So that was why I was thankful that the doctor was one that knew me, because I needed someone who could say, no, this isn't her. So, got on a mask and my oxygen saturations came up, and the doc walked over to the bed and he said, I'm not letting you become unstable. So, if we need to make decisions, we need to do it now. And I said, you're not intubating me. I'm not going to be intubated. And then I paused and I said, don't make me a DNR. It kind of came back that at the time I was not, the only medical problem I had was diabetes, and I didn't know how sick I was and how sick I would become. So I said, do what you have to do. And I was very upset because I was almost dead set on not ever intubated. So then a bizarre thing happened. I'm still waiting on a bed in the hospital. So, but I'm in a bed in the ER. So I'm waiting on an ICU bed, and all of a sudden, I sit up in bed, and I said, Mom. And I wasn't even sure she was still in the room. Like, did I dream? Did she leave? It felt like someone had taken a bat and whacked me in my knee. And the pain was unbelievable. Killer. Oh my God. And I said, Mom, someone just hit me in the leg with a bat. And this is where you start with the the altered mental status, and COVID brain cuckoo-ness. And she said, I've been sitting here the whole time. No one has come into the room. And I said, then why does my knee feel this way? I was crying from the pain. Where did it come from? It was out of nowhere. So I tried to go to the bathroom, called one of the nurses. You have to be unhooked from everything. I went to stand up and I almost fall, but I grabbed the bed and I said, I can't even put weight on my leg. What is going on? And then go to the bathroom, go back into the room, and then just didn't sleep until we had shift change. New doc comes in. We go over some of the symptoms. He gives me a little dose of pain medicine because I told him I don't know what happened with my knee, but I did have a knee injury years before, a decade before, and he gave me that and more nausea medicine because I said I'm gonna vomit. This is unreal. I was just in a tornado that was moving at just slow, like Matrix speed. And finally get to bed, get sent over by EMS. And at that time, just to tell you, they were not wearing the full garb bunny suits. It was a mask. Just a mask. A used mask, might I add. I have so much anger in me about so many things, that being one of them. So I go to the ICU and they x-ray my knee, and the only thing was a little bit of swelling. They got an immobilizer. When the tech had to move it to position it, I thought I was gonna scream, to give you an idea of pain, because they ask you, rate your pain. I'm gonna go on, I'm just gonna say it, pain scale is the stupidest thing that ever, it's not the fifth vital sign. It's stupid. I hate it. It's dumb. My 10 could be your 2. Unless I'm giving an intervention to say, hey, are you in pain? Okay. I'm giving you this. Tell me how bad it hurts. Like, do you need something strong, or could you hold out? I mean, you should have real conversations. The pain scale is just different. It doesn't, it's so bizarre. I mean, I've had dental work where my mouth wasn't completely numb, and I just didn't tell the doctor because I didn't want to be poked 5 more times with a syringe of lidocaine and then sit there and wait. And then when the lidocaine wears off, guess what? It still hurts. You get pain no matter what. So I just wanted to get through the procedure. And the way I did that was I just sucked it up. But COVID pain is something way different. It is supersonic pain, and more to come about that. So I have this jacked up knee, previous injury. I played sports a lot. When the attending came in to talk about treatment plan and what we were going to do, you know, they're not going to keep you till you're negative. It's really symptomatic how they keep you when you can go back to work and all of that stuff, and that changed every day. It was mind-numbing. Ugh. So the doc came in and I was focused on my knee, and a lot of the neuro things, and she said, you know, a lot of the doctors that are getting COVID are saying the same thing. Old injuries are coming back, and the pain is excruciating, and it's like this arthritic syndrome that doesn't go away. Okay, well, what do I do? She said, well, since it's a previous injury, you can go to an ortho. Definitely do that, but you're having a lot of neuro things as well. Probably need to go to a rheumatologist to roll some things out. And for my non-medical people, that could be a litany of illnesses. MS, I mean, is one of them. The Guillain-Barré, so many. So when I heard that, I was bummed and made an appointment to see a rheumatologist. And I had to find a PCP because I was admitted, and then day 4, they were kind of like, okay, your vital signs are stable. We're not going to do any, we'll send you home with antibiotics, some pain medicine, and follow up with ortho, follow up with, we would suggest you do rheumatology first. And I remember just thinking, 4 days? And I feel like I'm still like I'm gonna die. But okay. So I get a call from occupational health in my hospital that I work at, I'm admitted, they had been notified because I didn't know what the process was. That also changed every week. Who do we call? Who do we tell? The occupational health person said, what's the plan? And I said, well, they want me to follow up with the rheumatologist. I gave her the rundown. And I said, I'm thinking 2 more weeks and I should be good. I think, my vital signs are good. I'm not super symptomatic. My I don't have a lot of respiratory symptoms. So I'm thinking 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks should be good. And she said, okay, well, if that changes, call us back, let us know. And that became kind my mantra of sorts. 2 more weeks. Hint, hint, clue, clue. So I get discharged from the hospital, and I'm a miserable blob, but everyone kind of went through that miserable blob syndrome. I even saw another nurse come back to the hospital because she felt so bad still after discharge. Guarantee she had long COVID. Wish I knew who she was, but I was so sick. But I found a rheumatologist that would see me, and within 5 minutes, I was ruled out, which was good. But then what is it? And the look on the rheumatologist's face, she said, I don't know what this is. I don't even know what to tell you to do. Try ortho. And I just thought, here we go. I just knew something was coming. So I found an ortho, made an appointment. Then I remembered this 2 more weeks thing. I don't think it's going to be 2 more weeks. I think it's going to be crazy. So I needed to find a PCP to sign FMLA papers. Being diabetic, I've had to do that before. I've had bosses that were just awful about my diabetes, believe it or not, and I've had to get FMLA, and I got it, and I know the rules so well, being in management, the laws, the everything, that I found a PCP, and I said, here's the thing. I don't know what this is, but no one knows what to do with me. But right now, for FMLA, you can't put diabetes because that's not really what this is. So I said it's going to have to be complications related to COVID. And smart, because long COVID wasn't a thing. Long haulers wasn't a thing yet. And I asked him, are you comfortable with kind of blanket stating that I am being admitted for COVID, but the previous admission, these other issues were present, and I need to get those figured out. And I gave him all of the diagnoses that the docs gave me, and he did. He wrote me for FMLA, had the paperwork, gave it to my job. They were not happy at all, because they had a process set up of payment, 2 weeks of pay, then you get money from another pot, and then you move to this, and then you move to, and I just did not fit that profile, never did, never would. And when I had those papers turned in, I called OC Health, and I said, what do I do, FMLA? And they said, no, hang on to those papers, and if the COVID stuff is done, you'll be a COVID patient until, but you need to apply for short-term disability. And thus the nightmare began. I am doing these applications and paperwork with a very low IQ, is how I felt. And then I went to 3 orthopods to get my knee checked out. One wasn't impressed. Nah, I don't see anything on the x-ray. It just may be irritation. Take some NSAIDs and have a good day. And then I went to another one who was in the group that I had seen another doctor in. And at this point, I am 4 weeks out from, almost 4 weeks out from being hospitalized. That's how long it took to get appointments, by the way. I went to another doc. He evaluated me and said the same thing. Everybody thought I was drug seeking. He told me when I said, the pain is awful. Well, I don't write for narcotics. And I said, did I ask you to? No. I said, what do I do? Well, you get PT. Okay, but I can't put weight on my legs, so there's something going on. Do I wrap it? Do I keep wearing the immobilizer? Do I need crutches? What do I do? I think, because everything's hazy, I think I got crutches. I think this jackass gave me a set of crutches. See ya. Good luck. Hang on. I've got a question. He like barely sticks his head in the door, and I said, I've been taking NSAIDs for 4 weeks around the clock. I couldn't even finish my statement, which was going to be, I'm a diabetic, I need my kidneys. I wanted to try like a Celebrex, Mobic, something like that. He said, are you vomiting blood yet? I said to your criteria for management of pain is a GI bleed. I couldn't believe it. He said, when you're vomiting blood, come back and see me. And he walked off. True story, hand to God. I could have beat the living crap out of him if he had come back into the room. Because if regular patients got talked to like that, they would be in tears and feel abused. And I just wanted to tell him, I don't know who, I'm gonna have to bleep things. The F you think you're talking to, but, that ain't gonna work. So, this one's taken long enough. Oh my gosh, almost an hour. So the next one, the next submission's rough. I need a breather to collect myself. Peace in the Middle East, and refresher beverage, and if you can handle it, buckle up for the next one, because it's when my life changed.